Hello, my name is Kelly Oglialoro, and I'm going to talk to you about organizational theories and how they apply in the educational setting. One of the first theories is the resource dependence theory. This theory is the belief that the environments are sources of scarce resources, and then the organizations are dependent upon those resources. The organizations have to utilize their resources for survival. In order to do this, organizations also change goals to meet available resources. This theory can be seen in schools if you look at students as being the resources. Today, there are so many different opportunities in education as far as schooling goes. Children can be homeschooled, they can go to online school, there are public schools, private schools, charter schools. There's quite a decision to make. When I was growing up, it wasn't quite like that. I'm from a very small town in North Florida, and there was one elementary school, and it was K through 6, and then one high school, 7 through 12. You didn't really have all of the options as far as making decisions of where to go to school. So when I finished my internships in college, and I heard all of these people talking about, oh, I have to decide if we're going to do a magnet school for my child, or we're going to apply to the charter school, or what elementary school they were zoned for, it really changed my way of thinking. The next theory is population ecology. This theory believes that the environment determines the chances of success for organizations. They can determine this by the demographic processes, the ecological processes, or the environmental processes. These organizations that survive are those that are able to adapt to their environment. And when I read that, I thought of the saying, survival of the fittest. It's easier for newer companies to make the adaptations because they're not as large and can make changes quicker. And I also think older companies who are large and just older, they're kind of set in their ways. And this can be seen in schools as a way when schools need to consider the population in which they will serve. I have a hard time accepting or understanding when these schools are taken and as turnaround schools when their expectations for their students are the same as other students and higher economics, higher like socioeconomic statuses, higher parental involvements and such. I think it's very difficult for those teachers who do not have involvement from their student parents to have the same expectations. Another way, though, is that schools need to keep up with current technology demands. They need to keep up with the best practices of teaching and efficient communication with parents to meet the needs. Institutional theory talks about two things. It explains the different types of legitimacy that organizations can attain, and it also talks about isomorphism. Let's go back and talk about the legitimacy. There are three types. The regulative legitimacy is the rules and the laws. That's just basically, are you following the rules? Then there's the normative legitimacy. That's the social obligations. It's internalized morals. And cognitive legitimacy are the symbols and beliefs, doing things the way that they've always been done, just because they've always been done that way. When reading, I came across a quote that said, I'm trying to find it, sorry. Institutions gain legitimacy based on the pillars. The regulative legitimacy comes through following the rules. Normative legitimacy is developed through complying with the internalized morals, and the cognitive legitimacy evolves from doing things the way in which they've always been done. That helped me kind of understand those differences a little bit better. Next, in the institutional theory, is isomorphisms. There are three of those as well. The coercive isomorphism is when they're forced to act a certain way because of the societal expectation. Mimetic isomorphism is what you would think if you heard the word mimic. They're copying because it worked for another organization. And normative is when managers are trained to act certain ways. We can see this in school. Well, the legitimacy we see in school is when specific courses or standards are expected to be taught, requiring specific tests to be taken, or the staff making recommendations for their students, whether it be academic, behavioral type of expectations. Isomorphisms can be seen through accreditation regulations, various requirements that the school may have, or the way teachers are taught to teach. Next, we have the agency theory. This theory organizes the working relationships. It's when one party, a principal, determines the work, while another party, which is the agent, does the work. The principal hires the agent to do specific work. This theory assumes that the principal and the agent are both motivated by self-interest, but this can cause conflict. To minimize this conflict, it needs to make sure that they're both the principal and the agent share common goals and they're on the same page. The principal should be knowledgeable about the consequences of the agent's activity, and thus the agent should be knowledgeable about his or her own activities as well and the consequences that it might have for the organizations. This can be seen in schools if you look at a superintendent or various principals, because they hire the employees to see out their school's visions. School goals are then communicated to employees through various trainings, and it's with hopes that they reach and educate the student, which is their common goal. I found an excellent resource online that I used. It was another student's paper she wrote in regard to educational theory educational organizations and the organizational theories, and it really helped me in understanding these theories more clearly. Thank you for taking time. Have a great day.